Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday night live stream. And I got to tell you, it feels pretty good to be in the market. We talked about this when things were pretty much moving sideways, and I just said, just stick around. I think you're going to like where we're going. And I have to tell you, I'm glad most of you stuck around because you're going to bear the fruit of all this labor. So we can see today, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but the market's doing fantastic. And September, usually, historically speaking, not a great month for crypto and traditional markets. However, this September is a little bit different. I think everybody is expecting Jerome Powell to either cut 25 basis points or 50 or do something crazy like 75. Who knows? We know he's not going to do no rate cuts, although he could, and it could happen. But I think people are expecting a little bit more, especially with the jobs reports and inflation coming in as expected. So if that's the case, then we're going to see fireworks in September. And then what happens in Q4, usually the post-halving is pretty good. So today we can see that. I just want to bring actually one more thing to your attention. The market cap of the crypto market, I believe, is almost at an all-time high. I think we hit an all-time high of a market cap of 4.256. That was on August 13th. And right now, today, we are at, let's go back so we can say it, 4.157. So, just $100 billion to get us there. I'm sure that's not a big deal. We'll see how it works out, but things are moving. And you can see that over 24 hours. I mean, what's really popping off is, of course, altcoins. They're doing quite well. Does this mean they're going to sustain? It's anybody's guess, but usually we see this in Q4 doing pretty well. However, this leads me to 2 points. First of all, if we take a look at the altcoin season index, this is on Ben's website. You want to check it out, 10% off the first month. The index, or the altcoin season index, is defined as the amount of the top 50 alts that have a 90-day return of investment greater than Bitcoin. And we just see that so far, if we're looking at the top 50 and who has done better than Bitcoin, it's a lot, especially over the time period of 90 days. That's why we are, let me zoom into this, so darn high. We're in the red zone right now for altcoins. Does this mean they can't go up? No. It just means you should be cautious at this point because maybe there's some gains that you want to take out. Maybe there's some, some return on investments. Maybe the profits are there for you. And you say, you know what? I don't want to keep gambling. Take some off the table. It's not going to kill you. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. However, if you feel to yourself, know what, Rob, I think that we can go to Valhalla in the next 3 months. It's up to you. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can tell you that I did take a little bit of profits today, and that's just me. I've been around this game too long to understand that there are times when you do these things, there's times to wait. And hey, I'm okay if I don't time the absolute tippy top, but here we are. It's not really up to you. So altcoin season index is in full swing. Everybody's very happy, but I will remind you, this was pointed out to me by Ben when we did the NFA live show. Bitcoin dominance. And if you follow Ben's show, you know that he's kind of big on that. But there's a couple of points that he made, and even today's video where he talked about Bitcoin dominance. If we go back in September, when this, of course, Bitcoin dominance, when everything flows into Bitcoin, all out of the alts or just out of the crypto market in general, mostly into Bitcoin. We can see that if we go back to 2017, Bitcoin dominance fell like a brick for quite some time. June, July, August, September. Then we were kind of in the doldrums down here for a bit. But then after September, in October, look what happened. 1st of October 2017, it spiked again, all the way to November. That's when you got that $19,867 Bitcoin, which everybody's very happy with. I was quite ecstatic. And then, of course, we jumped again in December. December was when we got 19,000. And then it plummeted because altcoin season was, just a pop-off time. Now we fast forward into the next post-halving cycle. And we're going to see that, where are we? April 2021, Bitcoin dominance was going down, 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 market cap, all that great stuff. And we can see here in September, it was pretty low, and it stayed low. And then it rallied again to October and November, and then it kind of fell off. And it happens the same thing. The same thing happened last year. I'm not going to bore you, but it's the same thing over and over again. What are we doing here? Well, we're dropping Bitcoin dominance. So Could Bitcoin dominance go up? Yes. And this is what's great about it. I don't think you can lose here. I mean, if you put it into, I mean, look, if you put it into savings, that's up to you. But if you say, you know what, I don't know if it's going to be altcoins or Bitcoin. If you went into Bitcoin, you probably do pretty well, right? As people who have done over the last 2.5 years, 3 years, or a lifetime. But if you say, you know what, I want to take some of those and I'll put them into altcoins because I think I feel where things are going. I'm taking a look at some data. I take a look at historical references. You could put it in altcoins and do well or even better. But the question is, which altcoins are out there for you? Well, I can tell you what I'm doing. I don't know what you are doing, but this is what it is. But before we get into all those altcoins and altcoin season, as a reminder, because people are saying, yeah, Bitcoin dominance is going to keep going down. The price will be stagnant. I think it's still going to go up. One of the reasons is the Bitcoin hash rate just hit a record high. And you know that once we hit record high of hash rates, which is the Bitcoin miners that have to produce so much different compute power to actually mine that Bitcoin, you can see here in blue, the hash rate is today at an all-time high. And that's just for 3 months. Look at over 6 months. Look at over a year. Look at 3 years. And look at all. This just tells you everything you need to know about Bitcoin. There are so many Bitcoin miners out there, and they're all trying to mine the same finite resource on the planet, which is Bitcoin. And as they do that, and the hash rate goes up, because more and more difficult. Now, at some points, it becomes too difficult, they have to shut down. But usually what happens is the price of Bitcoin follows the hash rate. Not every single time. Usually we see a big bounce. And then also, the more things change, the more they stay the same. People are going to keep being wrong about Bitcoin. And this is okay. People just don't get it in the beginning. And this is from the Bitcoin historian. A Harvard peer-reviewed study calls for the inclusion of Bitcoin in central bank reserves. This is the highest level academia embracing Bitcoin. And I forgot to mention, or historian forgot to mention this, so I reminded him, or everybody, that's quite a big departure from when Harvard University professor and economist Kenneth Rogoff stated Bitcoin is more likely to go to $100 than to trade at $100,000 per coin. That was in 2018. How times have changed. So I'm not here to rub it in somebody's face that they were wrong. It's just, people just don't get it. And I understand why they don't, because it's a complex type of issue. But if you understand things about, I don't know, where real inflation comes from and M2 money supply and what the Federal Reserve actually does, you kind of see where things are going. It's inevitable. Now, the only thing I can't tell you, I know Bitcoin and some altcoins do well. The one thing I can't say is when. And that's the bigger issue. When does Bitcoin hit $1 million? When does Bitcoin become 10 million per Bitcoin? When is $1 for one Satoshi, which sounds crazy, but who knows? So I can't tell you when, but I can tell you that people are continuing to be wrong. And really it comes down to these, what's called a DATs, or digital asset treasuries. Here's an example of why I think Bitcoin can still do pretty well. And we'll get to altcoins in a bit, don't worry. Check this out. Nasdaq-listed gaming stock AGAE pops 105% after establishing a digital asset treasury. It eyes proprietary real-world asset, or RWA, models. This is the ticker's AGAE. The company's called Allied Gaming Entertainment. They went up 100% on their stock on Friday. How'd they do that? Did they change some kind of operating procedure? Did they do buybacks? Did they do something that would revolutionize their industry? No, they bought Bitcoin and Ether. That's it. That's all they did. It's part of their corporate treasury strategy. And you can take a look here for AGAE. Look at this. This is insane. You go from 96 cents, this looks like a meme stock or a meme coin, 93, 90 cents, then it jumps up to, $1.80. And then, of course, it's gone down. But if you're a company on the sideline and you're doing really good work and you have a great customer base and you're providing some type of value for whatever services or products you do, if you look at this, you're like, what the heck are we doing? Let's just do this and follow everybody. Now that will lead to a bubble, and you will see that these digital asset treasuries start to unload, but you got to ride that wave as things come in. So that was Bitcoin and Ethereum. Also for Ethereum, and again, transitioning from, I just want to do Bitcoin straight, or maybe I play around with the blue chip, which is Ethereum. Maybe I get into whatever, name your altcoin. There's rationales for everything. Ethereum, it's a record 12 million daily smart contracts. as traders out at $5,200 ceiling. Weekly report shows massive whale accumulation. How much? Oh, shoot. It all went away. Well, how much? Apparently, there's a massive whales that are out there, and they are buying up so much Ethereum that you see what happens here. That Ethereum today is at 46.85. Is that an all-time high? Let me see here. The all-time high was, 4,946. That was only 20 days ago. Wow, 19 days ago. So if you have these big whales coming in, and as a reminder, I mean, you got somebody like BitMine from Tom Lee, and him and his company are buying up like crazy. And you have a couple other Ethereum-specific treasuries or digital asset treasuries going Ethereum. Usually the price usually hits up pretty high. And of course, if we wanted to dig into this, there it goes. Ethereum fund holdings, driven largely by US spot ETFs, have reached 6.7 million ETH, nearly double since April. Addresses holding 10,000 and 100,000 ETH added roughly 6 million ETH over the same period. That's now at 20.6 million ETH, a new high. So these big institutions are buying up. And if we want to take a look at the ETF itself, here's the ETF flow. Now, the last 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, well, this is going back. We can see that actually BlackRock has done a good amount of dumping. 309 million on 5th of September, that would be last Friday. 8th of September, 192 negative, but they did make up for 44 and 74. And then, of course, we're taking a look at cumulative in the last 3-4 days. It's been pretty positive. Now, today for 12th, the 12th of September? Yes, it is. We don't have the numbers for that, but all you need to know is this. Here's the ETF flows. And it was made fun of back in 2024 as it was pretty much nothing. And then over time, we see a little bit of a push. And then from right here, July, moving forward, that's when we started to get those digital asset treasuries. Specifically going for Ethereum, and we see like an all-time high in September 2nd. Now we take a little bit of a dip, but I think it'll still go up. And then speaking of treasuries for Ethereum, Solana also has treasuries. There's multiple companies. Treasury firm BitMining nearly doubles holdings as UPXI reports 126% increase in SOL per share. BitMining reported nearly doubled its SOL holdings of 44,000 tokens. SOL is trading around, 226, up 1.2%. Is that right? What are we at today? Wow, I'll be damned. $240. Congratulations. Well, pretty much everybody. All you had to do was buy and hold. Rocket science. So that's good news. And then also here's one that kind of flew under the radar. I don't know why people weren't talking about this one, but it looks like PayPal and Venmo, which I think it's a subsidiary of PayPal, are teaming up with HyperLiquid. So this is from yesterday. PayPal states we're all in. Let's expand the HyperLiquid community together across our broad network of 400 million PayPal and Venmo accounts. Well, how is HyperLiquid doing then? Wow, 24 hours it's up. It's down 0.7%, but it's up 18% for the week, 17% for 30 days. But still, I guess that is interesting. I guess some of the legacy payment systems don't give a big of a push as they used to. Regardless, HyperLiquid's in the running. I own some of it, so let's hopefully it does well. And then lastly, before we get into a little Q&A, Tether. Apparently, Bo Hines, I don't know if you remember that guy. He was part of the crypto initiative under the Trump administration. He is now the CEO of Tether. I should say not the CEO, but Tether is launching a US-based stablecoin. Watch this video, and we'll talk about why this is. Let me make sure you can hear this crystal clear. And listen to this.
In 2014, Tether created something the world had never seen. The first stablecoin, a digital dollar. For the first time, millions gained fast, borderless access to dollars. Not through banks, but through code. USDT changed the way money moves. 24/7, without friction, without permission. Now, we're bringing that same invention home, to the US. To the builders, the creators, the earners, those who've been left behind for far too long. Meet USAT. The stablecoin made for Americans. Fast, stable, and backed one-to-one with liquid and stable reserves. Because Tether didn't just invent stablecoins. We built a system to put dollars in your hands.
All right. So anyhow, that's awesome. But I will say, and correct me in the comment section, did that not look like a totally AI generated commercial? Which I got to tell you, which would save a ton of money. And I think where things are actually going, AI is going to be a big narrative in the world, and of course in the crypto space. So if you're looking at the different crypto products and altcoins, I would start there also. Or I would continue there, I would say. So that's what's going on. And the question that I have is this: you've already got Tether. Why do you have to make a US-based stable coin? Well, apparently, to come into compliance with the Genius Act, this is what was the requirement for Tether. Tether is not incorporated in the United States. It's not like Circle and Jeremy Allaire, which have offices, I believe, in New York City. So with this, they said, okay, you want to play in America and you want to have the vast liquidity, make a separate stablecoin specific for US customers, also back at 1-to-1. Also, you're going to love this part. It will be issued by a US trust bank called Anchorage Digital, and reserve custodians will be regulated entities. You know what those regulated entities are? Cantor Fitzgerald. You know who was the former CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald? Howard Lutnick, who is the Secretary of Commerce right now under the Trump administration. Isn't that amazing? Also, Cantor Fitzgerald is working with a couple of different institutions as they start a Solana digital asset treasury. So one to look at. And also, I guess before we move on, as I've talked about stablecoins ad nauseum on this channel, what are the big four I'm always talking about of which ones the rails are? It's Ethereum, it's Binance Smart Chain, it's Tron, and it's Solana. Isn't that amazing how that works out? Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Things are moving. And then, big altcoins, World Mobile. Now, this is an altcoin that's not too many are aware of, but I have their phone service right now on my phone. And they just rolled it out. You can actually sign up for phone service with World Mobile. And it's competitively priced, like $59. Actually, it's $59 or $79, depending. And you can check that out. I'll link in the description. I don't have an affiliate code. I just like the project because I use them on my phone. And so far, I'm back in Puerto Rico. Works pretty well, be damned. So another big play. And then to talk about a good news, I can't let you off the hook and give you a bunch of hopium. Just so you know, World Liberty Financial, which is the trumpet, well, it's the Trump family. Apparently 56% of World Liberty Financial of token burn governance proposal is owned and operated by two whales. So if you think World Liberty Financial has anything to do with the ethos of crypto, I just don't see it. And then lastly, Polymarket is partnering with Chainlink to launch 15-minute crypto price markets featuring near instant settlement. So I like that. Polymarket needs an oracle. Chainlink's going to help them out. And if you haven't taken a look at Polymarket, I like this because it's like the wisdom of the crowd. And they called the presidential election correctly, and they've called a lot of things correctly lately. And one thing I'm keeping an eye on is this. They said, how many Fed rate cuts in 2025? This 100 basis points, again, this is over 3 meetings. You got one in September 17th, you got another one in November, another one in December. They're not saying it's going to be 100 basis points or 1 full point on September 17th. They're saying over the next 3 meetings, how many rate cuts? And this used to be 1%, then it was 7%, and today it's 10%. So I'm wondering if people are thinking that, yeah, we can see 50, which would be September 17th, then 25 and 25. That's my guesstimate, but we'll see. And that's it for today. So look, I know a little bit long, a lot of things going on, but that's it for this piece. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Everybody talk about is time sensitive. Now let's go and do a little Q&A and we'll go from there. Oh, there was one more thing. Yesterday on the NFA live show, we talked about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I know some of you didn't like us talking about that. You said, what about this one? What about that one? I'm just going to say it like this. There was another shooting today, as a matter of fact, in Colorado. And 2 students were shot and 1 was killed. And there was the gun person, the gunman, whatever. So, you don't talk about those things. I don't want to have to talk about all the crap and awfulness that's going on in the world. I think you come here for crypto and digital asset talk. I don't think you come up for that. The reason why we talked about Charlie Kirk hit a little bit different. Also, we talked about is he is a father of two, leaving behind his wife. The big thing was not the fact that it was a tragedy. The second thing was, are you prepared if you keel over tomorrow and die of a heart attack? If somebody carjacks you and kills you, are you have everything under control to where your family doesn't need to do anything and they have everything in line and you're set? If you think you're immortal, then that discussion wasn't for you. And if this was too much about Charlie Kirk, it is what it is. So if you want me to talk about mass shootings and do geopolitical stuff, I can, but I don't think you come here for that. But if you want it, let me know in the comment section. That's it for today. Let's do a little Q&A, and we'll come in here for it. And for the Zemas. Yeah, just confirm it's 3 plans and all 3 are fairly priced. I'll switch when my promo runs out. My current provider. Nice one, Daniel. So yeah, like hey, World Mobile, they just rolled out that United States plan, the US plan. Like they gave it to me. Well, they didn't give it. I had to pay for it. But they're like, hey, you know, we just wanted to let you know you can get early access. I was like, yeah, sure. And you go to phone plans. Here's what you got. So you got Essential USA, unlimited call, text, and data, 10 gig priority high-speed data. That's $59. 9% USA population. I love this one. Built-in SIM security insurance coverage up to 2.5 million. So they are pretty much saying like, we're going to make sure that that SIM swap crap stops with us, or we'll give you $2.5 million. That's cool. And then of course, use that with World Mobile token staking, and then you can start to pay for some of your bills every month. Very nice. No contracts. There's another one with 85. It gives you 30 gigs of high-speed data, but I mean, you already get unlimited call, text, and data. And then here's the thing. How much data are you using outside of your house? And how much data are you using when you're in your house and you have your Wi-Fi connected? There's the bigger question. No contracts, and you get more staking. So even if you went this way, you can like stake the World Mobile token and it can pay for the difference, but it's up to you. All right. Lone Wolf. It's Seeker. Hey, wouldn't that be something if, because you have the Solana Seeker phone and you activate it with World Mobile? That'd be something. I like that. Oh, totally good discussion. Everyone needs a plan. Kirk at Bitcoin. His wife and kids are set. Better than any life insurance. God bless the message said. Now I know that Charlie was into crypto, but they talked about Bitcoin at one point. He's like, no, I've got something better. And he talked about something like, hey, I guess he was in digital assets, but just tragedy. And you know what sucks is, I don't want to talk about this, but I mean, it's on the top of everybody's mind. So the shooter was caught, and I feel, you know, you got to feel bad for that shooter. Just destroyed everybody's lives, his family's lives, and of course Charlie's, because his family has to live with that burden. And yeah, awful. All right, you're not here for geopolitics. That's the idea. That like button needs some love. Smash it. Let's see. Chris says, hey, Rob, Sol, XRP, and Doge ETFs are launching soon. Was it discussed? Not today, but it really comes down to like, I mean, I remember when Bitcoin ETF wasn't coming out, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Okay, almost. And then it just kind of goes away. We'll talk about it as we really start to rev up. And we'll see. But remember that even when the ETF came for Ethereum, how big was that ETF? It was nothing. It was really a big nothing burger. And I think the tide really switched when companies, individual publicly traded and private companies, started to put Ethereum on their balance sheet. And once that happened, I saw more of an interest and a spike, especially with ETFs. So I think as companies, if they decide to put XRP, and now there is one company that did do a Doge. There's a company in Nebraska, and I think the ticker is, it's like Biodome. I forget the name, but the CEO was the former lawyer for head lawyer for Elon Musk. And some reason, he picked Doge out of all the different digital assets to put on their balance sheet. Isn't that funny how that works out? If there's a big announcement at some point for X and payments using Dogecoin, which Elon Musk has an affinity for. Wouldn't that be interesting how that guy picked Dogecoin to put on his balance sheet for his company? Good times. Good times. All right. Yeah, that's right. William Bodan are talking about it. Elon's ex-lawyer about, was it 400 million? Wow. I thought that was like 100 something million. 400 million is quite a bit. Poker says several comments about an XRP to Treasury already. That's great. I don't know which ones those are. I'll be honest with you, Poker Mo. I think XRP will do extremely well. I just I don't really talk too much about it because I'm biased. That's why. But I'm honest, and I just don't really have that much of it. But if something big happens, then I'll cover it, sure. And of course, Poker Mo's like, everything that XRP does is big. I know, of course it is. I try. This is a good one. Arev says, well, no, I wasn't it. Your character says, are we in alt season? I mean, technically, yes. Here again is the altcoin season index, historical values. Altcoin season index is defined as the amount of the top 50 have a 90-day return of investment greater than Bitcoin. So, like I said before, altcoin season is awesome and it feels great, but we did this whole video about altcoin season and timeframes and how when you're up here in this red zone, you're kind of too late. Like what you want to do is when it's in the green zone, you buy alt, and when it's in the red zone, you buy Bitcoin, and you just go back and forth. And that's because if I start buying up here, what's my upside? Wow, a little bit, of course. Yeah, I get it. But you know, what's the upside when you were buying? If you were buying Ethereum back in June, or AVAX and back then, or Cardano, your upside's just exponentially higher. It's risky and it sucks and it hurts to see that your portfolio keep getting cut down. Like I have always said, it's like throwing sand in the ocean. I think that actually the video was titled "Sand in the Ocean," but that's what it takes. But a lot of people can't do it. The only ones that can do it are the people here, like you guys. Trust me. If you bought any time during the bear market, you're ahead of 90% plus, 95% plus of the population. Nobody likes to do that stuff. They like to be the geniuses, and as it starts to really take off, hockey stick, then they buy. And they get like 10% gains and like, I'm a genius. And I'm like, that's a Tuesday, loser. And yeah, so that's it. Bart Driver, Rob, I believe we have all been duped. Big boys have kept the new monetary system down while these big boys are buying for over a year and scaring the retail away. They are the masters. It's true. That's why and you know what? Bark is right. This happens more often than not. And this is why we're always talking about dollar cost averaging, just sticking around. And I'm saying like, hey, I know it hurts right now. But if you stick around, you're going to like where we're going. And I think we're at that point, at the precipice of really going far. Today is a really great day. I feel great. Fantastic. Market's treating us pretty like it should. But the only way to beat these people is to pretty much tune them out and just do research into what you think is going to do well. Just scatter things around. Like me, I got a bunch of altcoins. I know they're going to not do anything. I know they're going to suck. But it's okay because I don't need all 30 plus to hit. I just need a couple to do really well. That's all I really want. I'm not greedy. Evan says, have you ever shared thoughts on Stellar? Stellar, right? I'm talking about Monero or Stellar. I always get those two confused. XLM, that's MNO. I think it should do quite well. I don't own any personally, but if something massive happens, let me know and I'll cover it. Why does Ben hate our alts? Because it's not your alts. He's talking about everybody else's alts. not Unity Warrior, not Bodan, not TS, not Mohammed, not Even Hall, not Mr. Meaner, not Diamonds, or Panda Pies. He's talking about the other losers and their crappy alts. Not your alts. And not mine, for sure. Although I gotta tell you, I got so many, I'm sure he's talking about one of them. XLM is awesome for remittances. I gotta agree. I think that's the whole thing. Yeah, there we go. XLM equals Stellar, XMR is Monero. See, I was getting confused. Bodan says, I just need a 2x. That's all I want at this point. Been trying to hodl since the last bull run 2022. You know, I made a mistake in stocks because I did so well in crypto in 2021 that I thought, well, stocks seems reasonable. And I bought into like Amazon and Tesla, a couple other ones. And I pretty much bought around September, October, November of 2021. And then it went up and I'm like, this is so easy. Why do people say this is so hard? And I didn't touch it for like 2 years. And I looked at my Robinhood account. I'm like, hey, why is this way lower than what it was? I'm like, oh, that's right. Because I was supposed to dollar cost average in the bear market like I did with the crypto. So my lesson was for stocks or anything that you buy into, there's going to be up times, there's going to be down times. And you must take advantage of those down times. I know it doesn't seem right, it doesn't feel natural, but that's why some of these days, like some of us were very giddy when the price was very low. All right, now we're talking. And of course, we're not always like that. There's some days when I'm like, damn, it's another dip. Buy the dip, or buy the dip, I'm all dipped out. But this is why we did it. Days like today. And Q4 is coming up, and that's why we sacrificed. So I'm proud of all of you. It wasn't easy, but you guys did it. All right. Yeah, still. Tesla isn't a bad stock, to be honest. Tesla is way more than cars and Elon. A lot of people don't realize that. It's true. America first. Ben has been wrong so many times. Oh, trust me. Like, we talk about these things before the show. We talk about the things that we, wish we could have done better and things we weren't perfect on. And nobody's perfect, that's for sure. But I will tell you, Ben was right on a lot of things. And I'm glad I listened to him on the Bitcoin piece there and didn't go all the way into Fartcoin or whatever. Oh, Beardy's got a date night to attend to, taking the little Mrs. Beardy out. We had so much that we showed them a party, very true. Tesla versus Bitcoin, James versus Ben. We used to do that. We used to have James versus Ben. It was called DCA, and it was me, James, and Ben. Actually, it was me, James, and George from Cryptos RS. And then George got tired of that, and then we picked up Ben. And then Ben and James's communities despised each other for some reason, so we dropped. And then James picked up some really smart guys, and then Ben's like, hey, because he was working with Guy at the time, and then Guy's like, hey, why don't we do a show? And I'm like, oh, like you have nothing else to do, Guy? Okay. And then we did that. That's why I do NFA Live. Avatar, back in the day, yeah. Yeah, I like that too. Kramer said Bitcoin will never go to 1 million. 1 million you'll become. Yeah, same thing happened with the Harvard economist. Very funny. And CTL Larson's a good guy, entertaining, great videos. And Bodan says it right. Who's top 15 has not made an ROI for this all season? Polkadot. Do you know which ones have made an all-time high and which ones have not? Check this out. There's an very easy website. I've shown this a couple times. Coin Go Live. Coin, C-O-I-N, Go, G-O, Live, L-I-V-E. And you can see here, the price drops since the all-time high. You want this as close to non-red as you can. So you can see Bitcoin here, is only 6% away from its all-time high. Ethereum is only 5% up. 5%. XRP, 14%. That's respectable. Sol, 17%. BNB must have just hit. I'll be damned. Did you guys know that Binance Smart BNB hit its all-time high today? Huh. See, this is why I like to show these things. I'll be damned. It was 3 minutes ago. Look at that. 3 minutes. Oh, I'm glad I got some of that. So again, if you're looking at stable coins, I hear you groaning and your eyes rolling in the back of your head, but just stick with me. You know, Visa keeps a track on stablecoin transaction volume by blockchain, stablecoin transaction count by blockchain. And if you don't even want to deal with that, just go down here, stablecoin cumulative metrics. As far as volume and total transactions, you can see which one's the top. It's Tron on Tether, Ethereum, and Ethereum on Treasury USDC. Tether, second one, Binance Smart Chain, or third one. And then the next one is Solana. And then Arbitrum and Base. But again, that's part of the reason why Binance Smart Chain does so well. But the reason why Solana, Arbitrum, Tron, and Ethereum. So that's good. Did not know that. What else we got? Doge is 62% away. Hold on. That's awful. I see. Fake Ether, nobody cares. HyperLiquid is only 2% away. What else? SWI, 32%. That sucks. HBAR, Litecoin, 71%. How sad. Crow token is 73% away. Even with that big announcement with the Trump Foundation, that's crazy. I guess they don't have a big. And you know what? You're right. Polkadot, 92% away from its all-time high. You know, the narrative was that Dr. Gavin Wood, who spearheaded that, was a part of the genesis of Ethereum creation. He was on like the original Ethereum members. So they thought, oh, well, Dr. Gavin Wood, pretty great guy, and he'll make this thing run. And it sounded good, but something happened with execution. Can't tell you what it is. Can't tell you the adoption. I'm just saying that's what it is. Or that's how it unfolded, I should say. And some other stuff. You can check that out. So interesting. Good point, Bodan. Nice one. Let's see. Yeah. Ben's better than most. James is a superstar, super analytic, and about 95% on. That's pretty good. I'm glad we can all agree on some reasonable people out there. 1% away from my shower beer all time. Nice. I haven't had a shower beer since my last few days. Yeah. Oh, David says, that's a good question. Hey man, long time follower, what does the other side of this look like for you? When your top indicators hit and you turn the channel off, what's the next day look like? You know, I retired a long time ago. I retired, well, you never really retire, but roughly a decade. I stopped working for somebody else in 2015, matter of fact. It was January 1st, 2015. And then I just said, I'm just going to deal with, my online education platform and real estate. That's all I'm going to do. I said, okay, you'll be back. And that didn't happen. So I got to deal with that. And then here we are with this one. And mostly, the most of my time these days, it's not taken up by crypto endeavors. It's mostly with real estate, what I'm doing with that. I think what I'll do is, of course, when I step down from the channel, I'm not going to come back until the bear market. So that could be like, it could be 2 weeks. It could be a year and a half. I don't know. So for me to do things, there's going to have to be some other aspects I need to look into. I was always interested in doing more long-term rentals, apartment complexes and stuff like that. So it'll probably be more into real estate, or probably more into helping improve Puerto Rico a little bit with their real estate problem. Speaking of which, I'll be talking at the Flip Flop Flipper event here in Puerto Rico. If you don't know Robert Krager, he's doing some really great things with taking these zombie houses here, transforming them into long-term rental properties, not raising prices, not flipping, not gentrification, on that stuff, just doing good things. So I'll be over there talking at that event if you guys are in Puerto Rico on, I think it's November 7th and 8th, something like that. I think that's it. Going 40 minutes. Pi says, who knows, maybe there'll be no bear markets because, this time is different. It's either going to be one of two things, Panda. It's either going to be like gold and its ETF. When it had the ETF, I want to say 2004, you saw it would go up until we had a recession, 2008, 7, and then of course it actually went up in the recession. I should say that, because that gold is a hedge against inflation, and it's a risk-off asset. So, and then you see it and then it drops in certain time frames, but it wasn't like as volatile as before. They're saying the same with Bitcoin. I can see Bitcoin only having a drop of like 30 to 40, maybe 50%, not like the 77 or 85% we've had before, or 85 and 87 and 77. But if that's the case, I don't think altcoins will last like that. I don't think they'll do that good. I still think that we'll have a bear market for the majority of the altcoins. Maybe Ethereum makes it out, maybe Solana, maybe Cardano. But to say, that's always funny. I always like Panda's perspective. To say this time is different is pretty obvious. But it is different. I get it. I know. Rob leaves during the bull, not the bear. Yeah, I did the exact opposite of what I'm supposed to do as far as like getting a bunch of subscribers. You'll see like when the bear market came, there was a lot of YouTube crypto people just gone. And then they came back when everything was starting to pop off, like about a year ago or so. And they'll disappear again. That's fine. That's all. But yeah, if I wanted to gain more subscribers, I'd just take 2 years off, 3 years off. Or how are you, bullish or bearish on Bitcoin dominance? If it plays out like before, I'm a big believer in cycles, so I can see Bitcoin dominance rallying up again. But even so, I think for me, it's okay to buy Bitcoin, but also to buy the rest of my altcoins. What are some altcoins that I'm into? I just told you about the stable coins. So I think that's the big play. Ethereum, Solana, Tron, Binance Smart Chain. Want to get into Arbitrum and stuff like that? Sure. And you can't buy base, obviously. And then, of course, my favorite, Cardano, but only because I'm partnering up with Indigo and Chakra to do that AI agent for my short-term rental facility. So that's about it. Oh, Enzo's here with a nice, shiny new wrench. Congratulations, Enzo. Coin glass hodl indicator. What the hell is that? Whoops. Coin. I want to see this. Oh. Well, that's a ratio. That's not right. Let's just do a search. I don't see it. Whoops. Sorry. Enzo, you got to show that to me. So we are not in the bull market? No. So when I say like I'm leaving in the bull market, I'm talking about when I start to sell off. And if you watch, there's a link in the description for every single one of my videos. When I'm selling 80% of my crypto, Once those indicators start to hit, I start to layer out. I layer in with dollar cost averaging, I layer out with dollar cost averaging. So just to be sure everybody's crystal clear, we are in a bull market, that is for sure. I'm not leaving yet because I still have to sell. And I still have to do videos to tell you, I sold this, I did this. So you can make like, hey, somebody sold, maybe I should do that research and see if it's in my best interest to sell. And then maybe you go back and say, no, Rob's a moron, and I'm going to hold forever. And that's up to you. I told myself this is the last opportunity. That's what I would say. Rob, will your wife ever join the live stream once or twice? Just curious who puts up with your antics. No. That's not her game. Jimmy's here. I just don't know if someone's in the upper right corner of that page. Oh, I see, I see. Oh, I see. Hold 97%. Hey, you know what? That's something, because look what it says, 3% sell. It's been 100% hold forever. So you got 3%, and people like me start to dump on everybody. That's right. I'll dump on everybody. I'll dump on every single person here. And you'll laugh at me because you're like, Rob's a moron because you should have held for longer. I can't get my wife to change. It's for the best. You can do your own thing, and then when you guys come together, then you have the good times. Tether for another billion. Fifi's here. Yes. Coinbase is down. I saw that on one of the whale accounts. I went in there. Mine works, but it doesn't mean it works for everybody. Exactly. I have 10x. So wow. Fanman's at 10x, so we must sell 20%. Nothing wrong with that. All right, everybody. So that's it for tonight. It's getting kind of dark over here. Gotta get some things on. It's Friday. So that's it for today. And again, if you'd be so kind, hit a little like on the way out. Maybe subscribe. It's not like YouTube's going to notify you, but you can try it. That's it for today. So thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out with me for 45 minutes. I appreciate it. It was good times. And I'll see you guys on the next one.